My name is Lucy Anson Golding. I am the IPS Grow Lead for the East of England. IPS stands for Individual Placement and Support, and it's a model of supported employment that's been commissioned by NHS England nationally. It's expanding to enable many more service users to be able to get expert advice, to be able to gain and retain employment that's right for them, with the right adjustments if needed, and with support to help them to retain that employment. As part of NHS England's 5-year forward view, they committed to doubling access to IPS support. They did a baseline where they realised that about just under 10,000 people had access to IPS across the country via their community teams. But the ambition has been to double that, so up to 20,000 people, and the targets are very ambitious. This has really got a lot of traction behind it, and what I hope to see is that in 10 years' time, as part of the long-term plan, everybody under a secondary mental health care team will be able to access an expert employment specialist to support them into their chosen field of work and help them to sustain it as part of their recovery. And what I hope to see is that in 10 years' time, as part of the long-term plan, everybody under a secondary mental health care team will be able to access an expert employment specialist to support them into their chosen field of work and help them to sustain it as part of their recovery. So one of the key ways in which IPS differs to other traditional models of supported employment for this particular client group is that an employment specialist is embedded within the community team. So they sit alongside your OTs, your community psychiatric nurses, your psychiatrists, psychologists, etc. And they form part of the multidisciplinary team, and they support people that are on the caseload to gain their paid employment goals. And what is key, I think, with IPS is that traditionally, sometimes we may well have said, are people ready for employment? And there would have been a number of courses that people might have been put on or encouraged to do, or maybe volunteering was seen as a necessary stepping stone for most people. However, what IPS does is it sort of says, well, if someone says they want to work, they take that as read, and we help someone to attain that and retain it. Another thing that differentiates IPS from other traditional models of wider vocational support is that IPS concentrates solely on competitive paid employment for the service user. So as soon as a service user who is under a community team, they may have schizophrenia, they may have bipolar, a range of conditions. It's regardless of condition and severity. If someone expresses a wish to seek paid employment, then the employment specialist in the team will receive a referral and will begin working with that individual to identify their goals, their short-term goals, long-term goals, and how that forms their recovery journey. So, as I mentioned, NHS England have committed to doubling access to IPS, and what that has meant is that there's been an enormous scale-up of services, the likes of which haven't really been seen internationally before. IPS originated in the States. It's since migrated across a lot of the globe and into Europe. Many places in Europe have IPS services. However, this scale of national expansion is a real opportunity for global learning in this very niche area, but very important in terms of looking at recovery and what makes the recovery journey a good one for individuals. As part of this national expansion, what NHS England have done is commissioned a service to support with this. So IPS Grow is that support service. We are here to give practical support on the ground to services. So I'm the IPS Grow East of England lead, and I help support services across the East, the one in Hertfordshire, and HPFT being one of them. And it's very exciting because this funding will enable an expansion of an already existing very good employment service within HPFT. It will allow it to expand, enable many more people to be seen and to be worked with intensively to attain their employment goals. And it will be a much fairer system. So previously in pockets of the county you may well not have been eligible for support because you might well not have had an employment specialist based in that community team that you are accessing. However, because of this Wave 2 NHS England funding, now everybody within Hertfordshire should be able to access, if they're under a community mental health team, should be able to access IPS support, which is really exciting.